Whispers of Wisdom, where we journey together through ancient wisdom and hidden practices, seeking what lies beyond. Namaste. Welcome to Whispers of Wisdom. I'm Sapna. My guest today is Girija Venkatesh. Girija is a wellness educator, a spiritual sadhaka, and a beautiful, soulful singer. Girija, welcome.
Thank you.
I'm so happy to have you on the podcast.
Thank you, Sapna. Thank you for having me here. And I feel it's my privilege and honor to join this conversation.
Mine too.
And really looking forward to what emerges for us and through us.
Yes, absolutely. So for all the years I've known you to be a deep spiritual sadhaka. And there are many meanings to being a spiritual sadhaka. What does it mean to you and how does it manifest for you in your daily life?
Okay, so I do not personally call myself as a sadhaka, but I would like to clarify this word sadhana, which is used very often in spiritual context especially, and what it means to me. So sadhan, the word sadhan in Hindi also means a tool.
Okay.
Okay, and for me, sadhana is engaging with a tool that spiritually helps me to expand my awareness and consciousness beyond just being this frame and this body.
Right.
So just beyond calling myself Girija as this body, what more do I encompass and what more can I open my consciousness into is something what sadhana is for me. So any tool that helps me expand my consciousness therefore becomes my sadhana.
And that could be mantra sadhana, that could be showing up for your physical exercises, practice. How many types of sadhana are there?
Absolutely. I'm sure there is, if you define by this, then even gardening is sadhana, playing a sport is sadhana, sitting with your art is sadhana. If you're a person who is involved in a work that requires you to code and work with systems and you can do it with that frame that I'm not doing this from the consciousness of just me and the code, but something larger, that could become your sadhana. So sadhana can be, the tool can be many. There is no limit to what it can be. But I also feel that each one of us kind of gravitates to a particular sadhana, right? Like for me, I gravitated to music and
so music
mantras.
is your sadhana?
Definitely. Music is one of the key sadhanas that I engage in. And I always like to begin my day with an invocation, which is musical also, and which also reminds me to stay in this consciousness, which is larger than just the body and just I need myself.
Okay. So now that you mentioned invocation, do you feel called to, invoke some part of your music at this point?
Actually, absolutely. Because when I was also coming into this conversation, I was present to the title that you've given, Whispers of Wisdom. And whatever is whispering to you, to become present to it. Music is a very powerful tool to become present to what is being whispered. So definitely I would love to begin with an invocation, which is very close to my heart. And so there is this tradition called Dhyana Shlokas. And what these shlokas actually intend for the chanter is when you become present to the words, the shloka itself reminds you of something larger than you. Okay. And so this particular Dhyana Shloka by Sant Ramadas speaks about the fact that everywhere and everyone around us is our guru, is our source of light.
Yes.
Is the one who can show us what is needed for us. And to remind oneself that wherever I look, wherever my thoughts go, whatever I do, let me always be present to this energy of the divine. Let me always bow in humility to this energy. And always remember that it is this energy, this larger than me consciousness, which is moving this body, helping me to engage with the world. And also making a very prayerful submission that may this consciousness, this energy never leave me, never abandon me. Beautiful. So that's largely the meaning of this Dhyana Shloka.
Beautiful.
And I would love to offer it to my audience.
Absolutely. Please. It would be a pleasure.
It's in Marathi, so the meaning that I gave, if we can hold that in our consciousness and just engage with the chant. ज्या ज्या ठिकाणी मन जाय माझे, त्या त्या ठिकाणी निज रूप तुझे. ज्या ज्या ठिकाणी मन जाय माझे, त्या त्या ठिकाणी निज रूप तुझे. मी ठेवितो मस्तक ज्या ठिकाणी, तेथे सद्गुरूंचे उभे पाय दोन्ही. सदा सर्वदा योग तुझा घडावा, तुझे कारणी देह माझा पडावा. उपेक्षू नको गुणवंता अनंता, रघुनायका मागणे हेचे आता.
Thank you, Girija. I had, goosebumps. I was listening to that. It invokes something in you, yeah. And I know, as a sadhaka and a singer, you have accessed this many times. But for me, as a listener, also, it has done something to me, and I don't know what it is. It's joy, it's happiness, it's just like a flow. What has music done to you? Your sadhana and music. What has it opened for you?
Oh, wow, that's a deep question, and there's several layers to it, and maybe my answer will be a little long on that. Yes. So when I started listening to music as a child, I was always drawn to it for the rhythm that the music gave. So I enjoyed playing the cymbals, the tala, and different instruments, and trying to engage with the rhythm of the sound, because I saw that the rhythm was doing something to me. Like it was that movement itself was helping me to move something in my body. So that's where music started. And then I am also musically trained. So when I went to the music class and I started learning music as Carnatic classical music in a more structured way, I met music as something that is able to hold a lot of energy inside my spine. I was a small kid and I would always think that there is a before music class and there's an after music class.
Okay.
And what is happening? And I would always be present to it as a child. And I would look forward to my music classes because it would shift something inside of me.
Right.
And being a kid, I didn't have the vocabulary maybe to explain it, but I look forward to it. And then also set in a lot of health issues growing up. And I saw that the moment I would access music, whatever the pain and whatever the trauma the body is going through, I would be able to transcend it. And I'd be able to say that, Girija, you're not just this pain. You're not just this disease. You're something more than this. So that's where the journey for music expanded for me. And at some point, I could say that every time I step into the space of just the tanpura playing,
right?
The swaras just playing and me just aligning my breath to that sound, I'm able to access this deep space of silence. So music for me now is about accessing the space of silence inside me, which is a little beyond just singing. Yes, presenting a song.
Absolutely. When it's music, we are engaging our ears into listening to that. But you're saying you're accessing silence, which is really the other end of the life.
Not something we relate with music.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah,
it's beautiful. You're also a wellness educator. And again, I've known that you've tapped into your body wisdom as well, and the body's intuition. And we've had several conversations. And one of the reasons for our podcast is it was so valuable for me, and some of the insights I have about my way of being, my relationship with my body, my food has changed drastically. And a small endeavor to bring that to our audience. What is the relationship one should have with the body? Let's start there, because all of us have very different kinds of relationship. Mostly it's not very loving, or it's like just way too loving. Another spectrum, all of it. Like I'm okay with whatever is happening to me, but I will cover that with love and saying that's okay. Yeah. So what is a good place to be in? What is my relationship with my body?
Okay. So maybe I would like to dwell a little bit on this aspect of relationship, which is a very important word in itself. So in the word relationship itself, there are two. There's not one, right? There are two parties involved.
Yeah.
So when you say relationship with the body, what comes to me is to not have this idea that, oh, I have to control the body. I have to correct something inside my body. There's something wrong, or, this is the way my body should be, That's not a relationship. That's like a monopoly and autocracy, right? Like, hey, I know what you need and I'll do exactly what I want to do and you better obey me. But that's not the space I operate from. I believe that body is your instrument, your partner in your journey of life. Whether you're taking the journey in a material sense or you're taking it in a spiritual sense, you need your body to be your partner throughout. Right. Without that instrument, what are you going to achieve in the world? How are you going to navigate whatever is coming to you, right? So for me, when I approach the body from that relationship where I say there are two, so when there are two, there is a conversation.
Okay.
So at some points I have to listen, and at some points I also have to do the talking, right? So it's two-way relationship. So when I say that and I talk about conversation, then I stop looking at my body as a bundle of problems to fix or a bag of bones and muscle which needs to come into a particular dimension.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Or a bag of material that I need to feed. Right? But I start looking at it as, oh, wow, it's a system of wisdom.
It's a system of wisdom.
It's a system which comes with its own intelligence. It's made up ultimately of chemicals that have been in this world and universe long before we came.
So when people say you're made of stardust, they're not wrong. We are made of stardust.
Absolutely.
Can you give me like a little insight into what is the kind of natural wisdom the body holds? Because, just for our people who are listening to this and watching this podcast, we often relate to our bodies in terms of the shape, the size, calories, the curves, and all of that. But when we talk about body's innate wisdom, how can I find it? Where can I tap into that wisdom?
Okay, so how can I find it's a process in itself, and there's several layers to it. But I would say if we can first bring up a change or maybe lighten our mental model around the body and just stop this colonial idea that I want to rule you. If we can begin there.
But we all want to rule everybody or something all the time.
So if we just start there and we say that, okay, I don't want to rule you, but I want to make you my partner. Befriend. And I want to listen to you. So when you just bring in that shift, you can just become slow with your body. What I mean by that, for example, is you have, let us say you come back from work and you develop a fever, right? There could have been a lot happening inside your body which caused the fever, right?
Yeah.
But if you are in that mode where you say, I want to control my body, I would say, okay, what is the pill I can have, or what is the drink that I can have so that this fever goes away?
True.
Right? So the moment I say this fever has to go away, then that relationship is of control. Because the fever is now coming in the way of my plan, what I have planned. Right?
Yeah.
Whereas if you talk about it in terms of conversation with the body and you're listening to it, you would just step back and say, what have I done? Or what has my body been indulgent for so long that suddenly today it decides, hey, I'm having a fever, just rest.
Yeah.
Just step back, and maybe what you've planned for the evening is what not I'm ready for.
Right.
So you understand what I'm saying, like the slowing down. I don't want to fix it immediately. I just want to slow down and say, what is it that I've been reflective about? What is it that I've been doing with my body?
Wow.
Right?
So it's just not about finding my pattern. Okay, did I drink something cold? Did the weather shift? What happened to me? But it also, what am I engaging, or what was I engaged? The kind of thoughts, or maybe what I was doing. What have I repressed? What have I not voiced out? Could it also be that impacts?
Oh, yes. Oh, that and much more.
That and much more. Okay. We're now opening the bag.
So I'll give you a very simple example, right? So I have my training in biochemistry. And one of the things that we were always taught is, you have carbohydrates and fats and proteins.
Yes.
And they are sources of energy for you and for body structures. And that, you can use carbohydrates, you can use fats, and you can use protein depending on what is the hunger sensor of your body telling you. How hungry are you?
Okay.
Right? Now, what do we understand hungry as? We understand hungry as a sensation in the belly.
Right.
I am feeling hungry is what we understand hunger to be. And we always start calorie watching, saying, I'm having this much carbs, I'm having this much fat.
Yes.
Should I have less of this, more of that? But your body's wisdom is little above just this calorie counting, right?
Okay.
For it, hunger could mean that your emotional need is not met. Your safety need is not met. You are continuously moving inside spaces which don't feel safe for your body. Okay? You are completely moving in and around people who are constantly abusing you, constantly calling you names, shaming you, right? So your emotional needs are not met, who are putting you down.
Right.
Now, when this will happen, it has a direct effect on the hormones in the body. And that's going to again have a ripple effect on the metabolism.
And this at any age?
At any age. So now what will happen is your body is also metabolizing not just for the carbs and the proteins and the fat that you're eating, but it's also metabolizing for the sense of lack of safety, lack of emotional connect, lack of energy, right, in the space. And now it's so common for us to see bulks of fat building up in different parts of the body for different people.
Yes.
And we just go and straight zoom in and say, stop eating carbohydrates, stop eating fat.
Yeah.
But that's like an oversimplification of a system of intelligence.
It's true. It's true.
Oh, very, very oversimplified, right? Because you might be eating the right proportion of carbs for your body composition, but not the right proportion for your emotional composition.
Absolutely. Now that you touched on the emotional composition, Girija, people have been hitting the gym for a long time, or doing Pilates, yoga, indulging in so many physical activities, watching every bit of what goes on the plate, what is going into their mouths. But the scale hasn't
Isn't shifting
by an inch or even grams. And I'm beginning to understand the role of emotions and the regulation or non-regulation of it. What is the role of emotions in this whole physiology, in this structure?
So I would also want to put a disclaimer that I'm no expert in body physiology and anatomy, but what my wisdom tells me from working in the area of wellness for many years now is that, the relationship of fat or carbs or any food that you eat and weight is minimal.
Okay.
I won't say not, but it's very minimal. But the question that you asked about emotions, right? So emotions in our body influence a very important system, which is called the endocrine system. Okay? So we are wired in a way that all parts of our body are connected through blood and nerves inside. Okay? So imagine that there is a part in the top of your hair or head that wants to talk to your toe. How is it going to do the talking? Like that's a conversation happening, right? Yeah. So how does it talk? So there is a very intricate system of chemicals that we release into the blood, and there is a two-way conversation. The head is releasing something, it's going to my feet, the feet is talking back with something else.
Right.
So this conversation, a part of this conversation, not the whole of it, is managed by a system of hormones called the endocrine system. Okay? And the endocrine system consists of some key glands and the hormones that these glands release into the blood.
Right.
Now, where our emotions land in our body is where the mind and body meeting actually inside of us is at this juncture of endocrine system. Okay. So when you are emotionally, not like a gateway, I would say, but it's like when your body is listening to your talk and chatter, which part is really kind of micromanaging and readjusting resetting the metabolic component of your body? It's the endocrine system. Okay. So if I keep telling myself, Girija, you're no good, You are so hopeless. Like, look at the other singers. What? You have no voice. Like, when I'm saying this as a chatter to myself, where it's landing in my physical is my endocrine system is going to pick this up in its own way, this conversation.
Okay.
And it's going to reset or recalibrate my metabolism to one of, okay, if there is no goodness and safety outside me, let me build it inside me. The world is not able to make me feel good and safe. So let me do it myself.
Yeah.
And
how does it manifest?
So how it will manifest for you is, or for me, since I'm taking this as my example, would be, if I'm feeling extremely unsafe and unmet in my heart, like my emotions are settling, I feel heavy here and I feel unmet here, I will start to have a larger breast fat. Okay?
Okay.
And if it's landing in my body and in my gut and saying all the relationships are a waste, nobody understands me and no one is present to my talent, then I'll have a nice belly fat growing.
Wow.
Right?
Okay.
And if it makes me feel that you're no good in this body, what a waste you are. Like, why are you even here?
Yeah.
Why are you existing?
I'm not finding myself more worthy.
Worthy, right? So there's no grounding, then my pelvic floor is shaky, so I will build a lot of fat around the glute muscles. Right? So this idea of building fat metabolically is an idea of safety. You need it in the future, right? Ultimately, it's energy. Right?
So in a way, the body is being compassionate.
Absolutely.
It's always trying to protect you even in your worst, at your worst. What you're eating or how you're treating it, it's always protecting you.
Yeah, yeah. It's working for you. I said, it's your friend.
It's working for you.
Right. We quickly forget that the body's intelligence is working for you.
Right.
So when you feed yourself a particular set of emotional patterns, you're feeding or setting your body into a particular form of metabolism. Then you keep correcting your diet, you're getting nowhere.
Right.
Right? Because the problem was not the diet in the first place. The problem was the diet here, what you're feeding yourself emotionally. Right? So unless you distance yourself from the diet of emotional nonsense, you're not going to be able to cut back on that metabolic pattern, which is already set.
Wow. Sure.
Right. And if we just put together the kind of conditioning we get from the world today of the size you should be and the color you should be, right?
Yeah.
And what you should wear, how your hair should fall or not fall, or, stuff like that. How much covered or not covered you should be. When we put all of these layers on ourselves, then we are just making a recipe for a metabolism which loves fat, which loves fat building, which loves energy building, which finds safety, in being fat, so to say.
So you're saying next time before you hit the gym or, take those diets, first sit with yourself and look at what's really happening in your life.
Well, I would say don't do it before or after, do it parallelly.
Do it parallelly. Yes. And that is parallel, you're saying.
Absolutely.
That is also important.
Absolutely.
To have a routine, to have a regime, to show up, to move your body.
I would love to speak about this point of movement, So just to give you a context that in the body, some organs are called vital organs. Okay. And they are vital because they are doing very important part of this communication, whole body communication. Okay.
Are you saying organs inside the body are talking to each other?
Absolutely.
That is through endocrine.
Endocrine and much more, the nervous system.
Okay.
And more, but primarily the endocrine glands are doing handling a lot of that. And these endocrine glands are supported by a set of hormones and chemicals released by other vital organs. So for example, to give you an example, heart is a vital organ. Although it does not really release an endocrine hormone, it's a vital organ because it's reading these signals, these endocrine signals, and deciding how much blood to pump, how much to withdraw, and so forth, right? So vital organ is lung. Another vital organ is your pancreas and liver. Okay. So just if you can visualize your body inside for a second and just see that most of the vital organs other than your brain are sitting in between this trunk area.
Yeah.
Right? Below the throat and just above the pelvic region. Now you just imagine that through the day you are being exposed to gravity. Okay. And these vital organs are all stuck to each other through muscles and tendons, and they're all suspended in this space called trunk. Okay, so trunk basically is from the shoulders to the pelvic region is called the body trunk.
Okay.
So just imagine that you're exposing your body to this gravity all the time. You're standing, sitting, whichever way. It's facing this downward pull all
towards
the time.
The gravity. Yeah.
Right? And then you're not taking care of your posture. So you're slumping, you're bending, doing this and that to yourself. And slowly these organs are micro-shifting with respect to each other. Okay? It's microscopic. But the moment these shift, the communication begins to falter. Right? So why is movement so important? Movement is important because when you turn your spine, like, when you do this and this, and we do front and back, the only hard structure that is supporting your entire vital organ system is the spine. Okay, that's like standing ramrod, and in front of that are loaded all the vital organs. So when you do this front and back, and then left and right, and then rotation, you're doing a great service to your body, to the vital organs. Because that's what they need. They need a little bit of this, twist and turn to bring them into position. Like,
So
to align
is
them.
very important.
Yeah,
The
moving the
flexibility of
spine.
it,
When you said movement,
Yeah.
movement, I'm talking about the spinal movements, right? That's a service to the body. That's when you're treating it as a partner and you're saying, look, I know that you need this movement every day.
Right.
And I will give it to you.
Beautiful.
So movement is not just about dancing on the feet
Or running
or just running or walking.
Yeah.
That is taking care of a totally different system. But what I'm saying, movement is actually moving your trunk. With respect to the girdle, pelvic girdle, moving your trunk. That's like calling for a real partnership with your body, with your trunk.
Girija, that reminds me of my yoga sir, right? I was learning yoga with him for 4 years, and one of the Guru Purnimas, we all wanted to celebrate him, so we took fruits and flowers, and we all stood in a line, and we wanted to fall on his feet and take blessings.
Okay.
He said, wait, stop, everybody line up, and everybody touch your feet without bending your knees and show it to me. That is your Guru Dakshina for me.
Wow.
If you can't bend and touch your own feet, then you're not practicing enough. So I always remember that, and that's when I also he also used to talk a lot about the spine. Yeah. So is yoga a sadhana or an abhyasa?
Wow, powerful question there. Okay, so I would look at it as both. And I would, again, for the benefit of our audience, like to define abhyasa. Abhyasa is when you study something very systematically.
Okay.
I'm again drawing from the Sanskrit and the Hindi origin of the word. And when I am looking at yoga as an abhyasa, then I'm also looking at the spiritual and the theoretical framework underlying the whole concept of asana and pranayam. Right? Then asana and pranayam are very small part of a larger philosophy.
True.
Which talks about, as we said in the beginning of the podcast, how do you connect with something larger than you? And how do you stay in that consciousness?
Right.
So yoga as an abhyasa is asking you to deepen your understanding of you in the creation.
Okay.
You as part of the creation.
Why
are you
in the
here?
larger scheme of things?
In the larger scheme of things, right? And what does it mean to have a relationship with this larger universe? Yoga is asking you to look at that question as well, not just with your body.
Right.
So then this part of yogasana and pranayam become a subset of that larger relationship, and it's about the relationship with your body. Right? So for me, the part which is about connecting to yoga as an abhyasa is my philosophical pursuit, yes. And I don't claim any mastery there. But I definitely engage in it as an abhyasa, as a study. And I have found a lot of wisdom in just sitting with that phrase, yoga chitta vritti nirodha.
Yeah.
What does it even mean? What does yoga mean as a word? What is chitta? What is vritti? And what does nirodha mean? Just uncovering and clarifying these concepts for myself as I grow. That is for me yoga as an abhyasa.
Okay.
But yoga as a practice, as a sadhana to connect. Like I said again, that I believe this body to be the temple of the divine. Like that is something many people may not relate to.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
for me, body is the temple of the divine, and within this body is where the divine chose to stay and call itself as Girija and live in this world. And I'm saying it with a lot of humility. I'm not saying that, oh, Girija knows everything. But I'm saying it with a lot of humility, that to touch this divinity, you need your body to have a certain level of flexibility, a suppleness, a softness, and yet a sturdiness.
Beautiful.
Right? And there I see yoga as a very powerful tool, as a sadhana, to make the body my ally, make it my instrument, turn my body into a temple of the divine.
So it's also sounding like it's a transition from abhyasa to sadhana. It begins as understanding theory of it, sitting with it, deepening my understanding of my role with the larger creation, in the larger creation, and then also to tap something more divine within me.
Well, you can say it that way, but I would say to say it is in a sequence or linear is kind of oversimplifying it. Like, for example, for myself, like growing up, I had several health issues, and basically all known medical systems, modern medical systems, kept telling me that we don't know what to do with you. Like, we can't treat you, right? We don't have a medicine for you. So when I sat with all these communication systems gone wrong in my body, so to say, I didn't know where to start connecting, because everything seems to be wrong with the body, right? And for me, yoga came into my life not as an abhyasa.
Okay.
It came to me as a sadhana, as a tool of practice of connecting with the body. So when I would go to the yoga class, because of my health issues, I couldn't do any asanas.
Right.
It was very tough for me to bend the spine or turn it or anything. So my yoga master would say that, okay, just sit and connect with your breath. Just connect to your breathing and just become present to it. And I was thinking to myself, with all my scientific training, well, what is it going to do to me? Like, just sitting with my breath and then counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, with inhalations and exhalations. But believe me, Sabna, it did magic. Like, the first part of my body which responded was my endocrine system. Right? Every single endocrine gland of my body had almost failed at that point. And I was looking at a very dismal situation of holding up my body. And when I started with my breath work, the only thing I used to do was sit and watch my breath.
Wow.
Right? But just becoming present to something larger than you, right? That's what I was alluding to.
True.
That breath is not something we think we should pay attention to. Right? वो तो हो रहा है, अंदर जा जो अंदर जा रहा है वो बाहर आ रहा है.
We are also taught it's an involuntary action.
Yeah, it's just to happen, right? It's just to happen till I'm alive. But it's a very powerful system. It's connecting you to the larger universe you're part of. And when you become present to your breath as something just more than an involuntary action,
Absolutely.
you are suddenly empowering your endocrine system to become alert to its own patterns.
Beautiful.
Right. So
a lot of us wake up to the realization of aligning with our body and our health at a time when it's already broken or in the process. And I also see these are times when young people are achieving a lot more than anybody would achieve when they were 25, maybe 20, 40 years ago.
Absolutely.
Right? This is, we're talking about entrepreneurs and startups and influencers. This is that age where people see money quickly, see fame quickly. How important is sadhana? Because I also feel like that also means at that time in your life when you have to get into sadhana, right? You are already accessing wealth and power and fame and you're really busy. What's the role of sadhana and how can we inculcate that?
Okay. So very interesting, like how I speak to my participants is, see, there is nothing wrong with engaging with the world and experiencing success and experiencing the wealth that you are rightfully earning for yourself and the name and the fame. But also to understand that, see, when we came out of our mother's wombs, we were little babies, right? We had the prototype of all our vital organs in place, but they were all very tiny, right? And some of the functional capabilities had not switched on. It's there, it's a functional capability of the body, but it's not switched on, right? Now, as you grow, you reach certain milestones in your life, like puberty, and again at the age of 25 or 26, and again at midlife. There are certain capabilities of the body that are being switched on and off and regulated by the body. Again, the intelligence and the wisdom of it. Okay.
Right.
Now, what happens when you're very young and you're accessing success in the material world? You need not necessarily have the bodily capacity, to internalize this success in the right way and place it inside your body, right? So, for example, let me give you an example, right?
Sure.
So, I'm very successful. I go out in the world. Everyone praises me. Everyone says, wow, you're so good. And when I keep hearing that, I feel very good about myself. Now, suddenly, I'm very sure about myself.
Right.
And then I'm ultra sure about myself and I'm overconfident, right? Now, how do I deal with this situation? Every time somebody's telling me you're very good, if I am only thinking that they're telling you that's Girija, that is because I'm limiting my identity to me as Girija, right? But it will need a certain bit of practice and sadhana to say that when I reached here, 10 other people helped me. And 20 other people helped those 10 other people.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's a huge network of people who have come together for my success.
Right.
So for a young person, practice or sadhana would actually mean to constantly remind that when people say, hey, you are great, they are actually meaning you and your extended team and network is great. Right? And become present to that larger participation that's making or enabling your success. So I think that's a nice place to start your sadhana and every day remind yourself of, with gratitude, with a lot of gratitude, at least 5 to 10 people who contributed to your success, who got you where you are today. That is one. And the second part of this sadhana, which I highly recommend to young students whom I've worked with, is to ground inside your body. Sometimes there's so many stories, we become so airy with our own idea of who we are.
Yes. Yeah.
Right? From what we are receiving from others.
Right.
So we have a very airy and hazy picture of who I am.
Yeah.
Right? Grounding yourself by journaling. How am I feeling in this moment, right?
Yeah.
What was present to me when I was experiencing this moment of success, right? Or what was present for me when I was making that key decision which shifted everything for me?
Yeah.
So doing that emotional and physical check-in,
right?
Like a self-audit, I would say.
Got it. Say for example, you don't do those check-ins and you get into this bullet train of success and you go. And you're not rooted in a practice. You're not paying attention to balancing. You're not, journaling, or you're not even looking at how are you placing this success in your body? Who has contributed? What is the result of that?
Well, from
my master, my Guruji always says, wisdom or wealth in any person who has no sadhana is a very dangerous. They become a threat rather than a support system to society.
Okay, so I honor and I totally hear what your guru is saying, and I don't know if I am qualified enough to comment on whether they are a threat, but I would definitely say they become alienated. The threat is in terms of an alienation.
To self?
To one's own self, and to the larger network of beings.
Right.
So they may become reckless in their consumption, for example, right? Or reckless in their spending, right? Or coming in from a space of entitlement and saying, hey, look, I achieved all of this myself.
That's true.
So I am entitled for a certain set of relationships, for a certain way of respect in society. Now that I can say is a social threat, where you're constantly demanding of the society. Then you forget that it's a two-way exchange, right? As much as you received, you need to come back and give to the society as well. Like your success didn't come all because of you. There's so many contributing to it.
Sure.
So, that alienation happens and we see it all around, right?
True.
We don't think twice about dumping garbage under a tree root.
Yeah.
We don't think twice, right? We don't think twice about animals being killed because they're a nuisance in an apartment.
Right. That's
now
true.
that alienation comes because I am completely immersed in this idea that all that I do is only because of me. And everything that I do is rooted in me.
True.
Right?
So we're talking about sadhana, and I think this is a very important question for myself also to hear from you. What is the role of bhakti in sadhana? Is bhakti and sadhana devoid of each other, or do they exist together?
Let us define bhakti.
Yeah.
So every time I introduce a word, I like to kind of define it, because it can be held in so many different ways in context and according to the cultures. So bhakti for me is love in action.
Love in action.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like for me, if I say that I love the divine, or I love sapna, or I love my wellness work, whatever I say I love, is it a theoretical construct inside me? Like, am I only ideating it inside me, or can I show it in some way in my action? Can I see that equality of the divinity in you and me? And can I, every time I approach any person in front of me, do I have the ability to ask myself that before you say or do anything, can you just check in and say, and to remind yourself that you're both equal, both are divine, right? So bhakti for me is that action. Like when I can really step into the presence of divinity, not just in me, but in everything that I meet and do. So even when I sing, for example, do I sing because the person likes my voice? Do I sing because they like the song that I'm singing? Or do I sing because I want to invoke the divine in them through my voice? Each of these three questions will give a different kind of music.
Wow. Okay.
Right?
Okay.
When I'm singing a song to you which you like, I am so worried about, am I getting it right? I am so focused on your expression.
Right.
Is Sapna enjoying what I'm singing? Otherwise, what's the point of singing? Because I'm singing to make you happy, right?
Right.
There's nothing wrong with that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But then for me, bhakti is the next layer in saying that am I accessing the divine in me and her simultaneously through my voice?
Beautiful.
Right. So for me, sadhana and bhakti are intertwined in that way.
Right.
Because music is a sadhana for me. Yoga is also a sadhana for me. Chanting of mantras is also a sadhana for me. So each of them telling me, yoga reminding me that this is the temple, like honor it, And then music reminding me that share this gift with everyone. So much of love that you have received through music, let it not stay with you, share it with more people.
Beautiful.
Right?
At this point, can I ask you to sing for us something that invokes bhakti in you? I mean, I know everything invokes bhakti in you because for you, it's an integral part of who you are and how you show up to the world and to everyone you meet. But anything that encompasses this essence of bhakti.
Okay, so I could sing you an abhang, which is... Abhang are actually an oral tradition, which comes down to us from 12th century AD. Yeah. So whispers of wisdom are what abhangs are for me.
Beautiful.
And they're very simple poetic verses, and they speak a lot about becoming present to the divine in you, and to the divine in the tree and the plant and the world around you. Right?
How beautiful.
And honoring that. So a lot of abhangs talk about that. And because these abhangs were composed by saints who stayed in a temple town of Pandharpur in Maharashtra in India. So they, the deity there, the temple deity there is Vithala. Okay. And so in many of their compositions, you will hear the word Vithala repeatedly, or Panduranga, or Hari. These are Vithumai. These are the words they often use. But actually what they're alluding to is this essence of the divine element that is present in everything. The divinity that is all-pervading and encompassing everything that we do. So there is a very beautiful abhang by Sant Tukaram, which every time I sing, it reminds me that there is nothing really that you have to do and go there out and preach and talk about. Just stay present to this all-encompassing divinity, in your action, in your words, and in your thoughts. So for me, sadhana particularly is about uniting your thought, word, and deed.
Thought, word, and deed. Uniting them. That is
Uniting
sadhana.
them,
Beautiful.
right? Because if you're thinking something else, it's all theoretical, but you speak something totally different, and your actions are nowhere aligned to what you're speaking, then there is a disharmony that's already there in your body. Right? You are fragmented into 3 different parts already. And then to engage with the world with authenticity becomes a challenge. Right? So this abhang always reminds me that once you give yourself and surrender yourself to this oneness and interconnectedness in your words and in your actions and in whatever you see and do, then that will do the magic. You know, that will help you stay detached but loving. You know, give up your greed and your chasing of things, and become more present to the present.
Beautiful.
You know, that's what the Abhang talks about. So maybe I can
Yes,
sing
please.
that for you. Okay.
And thank you for that lovely description. It helps to get into the spirit of it.
Yeah, so I like to, because these are Marathi verses, not everyone understands the language.
Yeah.
And kind of helps to give the context,
Sure.
you know, so becoming present to that energy
Beautiful.
of Vithala.
Okay.
बोलावा विठ्ठल पाहावा विठ्ठल करावा विठ्ठल करावा विठ्ठल जीव भाव बोलावा विठ्ठल पाहावा विठ्ठल करावा विठ्ठल करावा विठ्ठल जीव भाव बोलावा विठ्ठल 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 येणे सोसे मन झाले हव भरी परत महारी येत नाही येणे सोसे मन झाले हव भरी परत महारी येत नाही बोलावा विठ्ठल पाहावा विठ्ठल करावा विठ्ठल करावा विठ्ठल जीव भाव बंधनापासूनी उकलली गाठी बंधनापासूनी उकलली गाठी देताली मिठी सावकाशी देताली मिठी सावकाशी बोलावा विठ्ठल पाहावा विठ्ठल करावा विठ्ठल जीव भाव तुका म्हणे देह भरिला विठ्ठले तुका म्हणे देह भरिला विठ्ठले काम क्रोध केले घर रीते काम क्रोध केले घर रीते बोलावा विठ्ठल पाहावा विठ्ठल करावा विठ्ठल करावा विठ्ठल जीव भाव बोलावा विठ्ठल Vithala, 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 Bolava Vithala. Vithala, Vithala.
It's better I don't say anything. It's done the magic, you know. It really touches the heart, Girija.
Thank
Your
you.
music, it really does. And I can see the culmination of bhakti, the culmination of sadhana, the tapping into the wisdom. I think it's just that culmination coming together. And when you sing, it's again not just touching my ears, but something deep within me. It invokes something deep within me. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for being present
Of course.
to this. And I would just at this point also turn one question to you.
Okay.
Okay. About what does sadhana mean to you? And has the definition and its practice itself shifted or changed for you over time?
Yeah, for me, sadhana was just showing up sometimes on my mat, sometimes to my shrine. It was an effort to just even get into that routine, to put sadhana on the top and prioritize. But that didn't happen for years. It was there on the checklist. I have to show up to my yoga, I have to show up to my spiritual sadhana, to my japa, all of that. It would be somewhere in the day. But over the years, now the day is, I prioritize sadhana first.
Wow.
It's come to the top. Everything else comes second to sadhana. And what it has done to me is opened, I can say, I know a little bit of who I am a little better. Right? Otherwise, I used to wait for people to tell me who I am and wait for that validation. That need has gone.
Wow. Wow.
I'm aware. I can access myself.
Right.
It was very difficult.
Beautiful. That's beautiful. And I'm staying present to that which you said, that beyond the validation.
Yeah.
Touching your identity beyond what is validated.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Like also in sync with what you just said was in my preparation to come to this podcast, and this conversation, I constantly was looking at this apprehension about, there's hardly anything that I can share. What is it that I know that I can share, which is not already known? And that thought kept checking me or pushing me back. And then I just stepped up and I said that all you need to do is trust the whispers of wisdom, that you have heard.
Yeah.
You don't need a validation for it. Somebody need not come and certify that this is right or this is wrong. If you can just stay checked in to that wisdom and speak from that space of whatever is whispered to you and what's true for your experience and your practice, I'm sure that it'll touch a chord somewhere. And I when I stepped in, I was exactly telling myself that this is beyond validations and acceptance space. This is about speaking what the wisdom has spoken to you.
Beautiful. And you are a mountain of wisdom, and I think we would need many episodes for all of that wisdom to come through. But I do have a couple of more questions, and more related to women. I want to cover that piece as well.
Okay.
Girija, do men and women have a different body wisdom that they access into?
Wow, again a powerful question. And I'll again go back to the intelligence of the body as the processes that we have. Okay. And First and foremost is, if you remember, I spoke about the endocrine system, the communication system of our body, and the hormones and glands that regulate this communication system. You would be surprised to know that 90% of the system is shared by men and women.
90%. Okay.
Absolutely. The glands, the connections, the way the feedback system flows, who initiates the first hormonal release, which are the target organs responding to it. Okay. And then what is the target organ saying back to the master gland, right? So important to understand that these communication systems are very adaptable and feedback driven. That's why we can change our bodies and metabolisms irrespective of our age. Sometimes we want to believe that, okay, I am already 50 plus. Right. Now I cannot do anything about my metabolism. Not true at all. It's not true. Okay. Right? Because these systems are feedback driven and based on what you're shifting inside you with respect to emotions, movement, all we spoke about, lot of things can be auto-corrected by this wisdom, by this intelligence. Now coming to male and female bodies. Okay. So the one major endocrine difference between the male and the female is the reproductive organ endocrine system. Right. Yeah. But what you will also see is the reproductive endocrine glands are the farthest away from your master glands, which are situated in your brain. Okay. Okay. So in terms of just the distance, the glands that define male form as separate from the female form are quite distant from each other physically in the body. So as we have enlarged as organisms, the endocrine glands, which are very close to each other in mammalian systems, as we became straight-spined organisms, the distance between the reproductive hormonal systems and the master glands have increased in distance. Okay? Now, chemically, this distance does not make a difference because everything is going through blood, right? And the circulation. But the message that we need to take from our body's engineering wisdom is stop fretting about male-female differences beyond those endocrine small differences that you have, right? Let us not go overdrive trying to prove that males need something different, women need something different, our bodies are different, the chemistry is different, and then build a market around it. Right? So what I'm saying is, if you listen to the wisdom of the body engineering, it is telling you that, yeah, it is different. Right? And therefore, a body which is preparing to hold a baby inside has to be structured differently, right? And therefore, you have certain hormonal differences which will change your build, your pelvic girdle strength, etc. Right? But that's preparation of the female body to bear a fetus and give birth. Preparation of the breasts, let's say, for breastfeeding. Now, these are very specific differences which are related to the reproductive role that you're playing. Right. But let's look at the larger role of us as beings existing in the universe. Right? And when you talk about sadhana or when you talk about engaging with the world, why are we so hung up about women should engage differently than men? Right? Or these are certain things that only men can do, or these are certain things that only women can do. Or vice versa. Whatever man wants to do, I also want to do it. Why are we inside this war? Right. It is not what our body wisdom is telling us. Our body is telling us, whether you're a man or a woman, you need to move your trunk.
Fair enough.
Right?
Fair enough.
You need to attend to your vital organs.
Right.
You need to nurture your endocrine system.
Yes.
Right? Take care of the communication system. You got to be inverting and being self-reflective on your mental models. Yes. All your life. Right?
I have a bit of a controversial question to ask.
Okay.
With all due respect to people who make a choice of having a baby and not having a baby, a woman's body is designed to hold a baby. There's a uterus, there is a breast, there is all of that which is indicating
the reproductive apparatus.
The reproductive apparatus. How important it is to listen to that? Is that a wisdom that we need to tap into? Does it have more to say?
Absolutely. And I would, again, being a woman who has chosen not to have a child myself, I would still say that it is very important to honor that wisdom.
The design.
The design, it is woven in a way that will help you reach certain metabolic and hormonal milestones with ease when you have a baby.
Okay.
Right? When your uterus has undergone a certain hormonal experience of holding a fetus, it completely shifts your uterine metabolism. And in response to your uterine metabolism, a lot of other shifts are enabled in the body. So a woman who has not had a child and a woman who has had a child is going to basically undergo the same hormonal milestones, but it might be a little more easy for the woman who has born children, who has given her pelvic girdle that push during delivery,
Right.
and the experiences related to breastfeeding, holding the child, feeling that sense of touch and compassion for a being which is totally dependent on you, right? So it is important to honor those innate wisdoms in us.
Fantastic.
I would definitely say it is.
Advocate that
Yes,
if you feel like, and if
if your situation and your life situation and the freedom of choice that you have allows you to make a choice, I would say be aware that when you say no to having a child, you are also saying no to certain bodily advantages. The hormonal advantages that come with pregnancy and child rearing.
Okay.
It's still a choice, totally a choice.
Now I want to just talk a little bit about bleeding, periods. The trauma, sometimes women go through aches and pains and backaches and cramps. And again, here we can argue about the design, a female body and a man's body. But it seems like she does go through a little more than a man. I mean, you can correct me.
Definitely in terms of if you're only seeing the physical and a monthly preparation of the uterus. Basically what is a period? A period is a monthly promise of a possibility of a zygote coming in and implanting, right? It's a preparation of promise. Now just imagine that holding a life inside you is not a small project. Right? You have let us say, Sapna, tomorrow you have a facilitation session. I tell you, just forget it, let's chill. Let's go for some music, let's have some fun time. You'll say, no, Girija, I need to do my notes, I need to do my preparation work.
I will not be coming, Girija.
Yeah, I will not be coming with that same intensity, right? So the same thing is for the female body, right? So when you start, let's say your period starts at 14 or 15, it is like a field check. It's just beginning to understand this process of what does it mean to shift your blood vessel system in the uterine space. What does it mean to shed it out? Where are the places where circulation is not good?
Right.
So body is accessing its own wisdom. Many girls who work in my wellness courses ask me, if it's all about pregnancy, why can't it be just 1-2 times when I'm ready for it?
Right.
Why it has to be from the age 15 to the age 45? Right.
Yeah.
So the whole idea is that when you're in the fetus of your mother, you as a woman has already produced all the eggs that you need for the rest of your life.
As a fetus?
In the fetus, inside your mom. Okay,
Yeah.
so that's point number 1. Now your body is going to check, okay, which are the good ones, the good eggs, right? Which are the ones which are good for implant and not so good for implant, right? And then also the body of the uterus, is it ready for implant, not ready for implant? Just imagine the quality check, just the physical quality check. You think it's an overnight thing that can be sorted with one round of period? Not really. Right? So again, for women who are growing up in the ages 15 to 18, there's a lot of metabolic shift happening because many endocrine glands are coming on at puberty, right? So there's a lot of correction that needs to happen. That's why early pregnancies are very dangerous. And most of the early mothers in rural areas are anemic. Their children have congenital issues because your womb is not ready. It's not done the needed work. So what I would say to women is, look, this is part of your design and engineering. Why don't you take care of yourself during periods? Why can't you make that choice within the design? And say that why should you go through the trauma of cramps, of back pain, of hot bags, and of taking days off work? Why do we have to go that path? Instead, say that this is part of my engineering and part of my design.
So that acceptance of, who I am, what's my design, honoring that design. Because I also read somewhere that when you have back-to-back feminine blows, like you feel the world is against you, that you're a weaker sex, that you don't belong, that you're not worthy, then the cramps or the period issues or whatever happens in that part of the body is a lot more pronounced than for somebody who is in full acceptance and alignment to their sexuality.
The example is sitting in front of you. So when I started, I was born the third girl child to my family, my parents. And there was already a lot of expectation for me to be a boy.
Wow.
Right? So imagine performance pressure inside the fetus, right? So now, what does it do to me as a person? Like I told you, right? In your fetus, you already have the prototype of your organs, vital organs, right? So when I am coming with my mother receiving this pressure, right? And me sitting inside her and also partly receiving it. So when I come out, I am asking myself, wouldn't it be better if I was a man? Like I'm starting with that question, right?
Sure.
So when I start with that question, I have total rejection of anything feminine in me, including my engineered process of periods.
Right.
Right. And as I resisted it, my periods were painful, crampful. I developed a lot of body hair. Right? And the moment you kind of know your periods are coming, I would be into a phase of tantrum. Yeah. Like, who is that person who is going to challenge me during my periods? You are done, right? I will finish you off, right?
Do a lot of women go through that? Like that?
Yeah, we all do, the hormonal rush. But what I'm saying is it became my body's motto to resist this. Versus a time when I came to understand and honor my body and its design. And I understood that this is a very intelligent system at work. And it's fine-tuning something in preparation of a fetus. Right? And then when I got in with that respect, then I asked myself, are you eating right? Are you giving yourself enough rest? What is your emotional chatter about man and women and all of this inside of you, weaker, stronger? Right. Why does this in any way make you weaker? Because just imagine what strength it takes to go through this test every month, right? Not a joke. So when I started rephrasing my own model around this system of engineering of my body, I began to realize that my cramps went off completely because I was not resisting it. And I used to get this crazy nausea, throughout my periods till I had my flow. I would be puking and like throwing up and migraine and all of that. All of that just suddenly just left me because the gut resistance, I don't want this went away. Right? And then when I got in yoga as a practice, and I started doing breath work and movement, it even more settled in me. To the point where it did not matter to me so much that I was having my periods. Because even inside my period, I had a routine which was facilitating it and not resisting it. Like if I have a pain, I knew how to rest my body and not say, oh God, Girija, you should not be resting now. That's like giving up. It's not giving up.
Yeah.
It's giving in to your design.
Yeah.
So that's what I come from. That's where I come from.
Thank you. And finally, one question is, what is a good time to sow the seeds of sadhana? Since we started with that question, I want to also.
So the space that I'm coming from, I personally feel that, what my master says is start early, drive slowly, reach safely. So start your journey of getting in touch with your identity as a self in the body, but largely embedded in a universal consciousness. Beautiful. Starting that journey of identity earlier in life, and staying with it. See, what happens nowadays, what I observe is everyone wants a formula. Yeah. Should I chant this mantra? Should I practice this set of asanas?
That's true.
Or should I go into this style of meditation? What I would say is it is emergent. As you go through different phases of life, different practices will align with who you are.
Also show up for you, right?
And show up for you, absolutely. But when you start early and you bring in the discipline of continuously connecting to that identity, it helps a lot. And why I say this is, so I was a small kid and my parents enrolled me in a program called Bal Vikas. Okay. And in the Bal Vikas program, we were small. I was 5 maybe or 5.5 years old. And for a child just wants to play, right? Go have fun. What is this Bal Vikas and why should I sit and pay attention to what the teacher is saying? But I'm so grateful to my parents that they put me in that class. Now, what happened in the class for small children, where they would start is, let's say before you start any task, just remember that there is something divine in you that is helping you. So how my practice started was, I started with very simple 3 steps. Morning when you get up, you look at your own hands and you say, Karagre vasate Lakshmi, Karamadhye Saraswati, Karamule tu he Gauri, Prabhate Karadarshanam. So the first thing that I learned as a child is this holds divine energy. That Lakshmi and that Saraswati is in my hands, I'm a small child, I can't give you the philosophy of it,
Sure.
But it became a very strong practice till date. I practice it. I wake up in my morning to my own hands, to nothing else, right? I don't grab a phone or I don't look at a photo, nothing. I look at my own hands. This is my temple, right? So that it started there. And then also when you eat food, Harir Data, Harir Bhokta, Harirannam Prajapati, Harir Vipra Sharirastu, Bhokte Bhojayate Hari. The one who is giving you the food, the one who puts it on the plate, the one who eats and enjoys it, all are Hari. So just beginning with that. And then at night when you go to bed, you think and ask forgiveness. If I have in any way hurt anybody, in manasa, vacha, karmana, I seek your forgiveness, So my childhood training in Bal Vikas put me on this path, to just become present to a larger idea and identity in every task. Now, as I grew up and the program opened, it opened me to music of Bhakti tradition. It opened me to the literature of various religions. We had a portion where we studied the main texts of all the prevalent religions in the world. Wow. And our assignment was to find out what is the common thread. And then in the 3rd level, we had to go out and do community service. All this is theory, right? Can you look at that Hari in that person who is annoying you like anything, right? Can you see that divine there? That becomes a huge practice. So we were pushed into community service. So I feel that when you give your child an enabling environment to connect to this higher identity each time in each phase of their own growth, it definitely helps to stay grounded, to stay aligned to this idea of sadhana and to keep it up for the rest of your life. At one point, after I came out of Bal Vikas and I took the training, I was already so grounded in what it was giving me. Nobody, after that, my parents have never had to tell me that say a prayer or sit. Nobody has ever told me after that. Right. But I know what it has given me. And so a child, if we can enable that for a child, it really helps. But having said that, there is really no age block. Anytime you can start and say, okay, I want to bring in a practice which reminds me that I am in this body, but I'm deeply embedded in a universal consciousness. Take it there. Yeah.
Thank you, Girija. I think we can have several seasons of uncovering this wisdom that you have. But I'm really grateful for all that flowed very naturally in this conversation, and for the deep wisdom you bring in. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Sapna. And I'm also present to what flowed through us and for us in this conversation. And maybe I would just propose that we end with this very beautiful Mangal Maitri prayer, which says that wherever you are, in whatever situation you are, may you touch auspiciousness and may you touch your own goodness and in everything that you do. So maybe we could join in and just make that little prayer.
Certainly, I would love to.
And also getting in touch with this great privilege that you and I have at this point to share the whispers of wisdom which are present in our lives. There would be so many within our listeners and beyond who would also be holding and hearing whispers of wisdom, but may not have the opportunity and the chance to share it with the world. So I'm so grateful for this opportunity, and thank you, Sapna, for facilitating it for me.
My pleasure. Thank you, Girija.
Right. So we'll do a little Mangal Maitri prayer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there something I have to follow, say after you repeat?
Yeah, maybe I will say it once and you can just repeat it.
Yeah. Okay.
तेरा मंगल मेरा मंगल सबका मंगल हो रे.
Sing it as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
In your own way, in your own tune. तेरा मंगल मेरा मंगल सबका मंगल हो रे. जिस जननी ने जन्म दिया है उसका मंगल हो रे. जिस जननी ने जन्म दिया है उसका मंगल हो रे. पाला पोसा और पढ़ाया पिता का मंगल हो रे. पाला पोसा और पढ़ाया पिता का मंगल हो रे. जिस गुरुदेव ने धर्म दिया है उनका मंगल हो रे. जिस गुरुदेव ने धर्म दिया है उनका मंगल हो रे. जल में थल में और गगन में सबका मंगल हो रे. जल में थल में और गगन में सबका मंगल हो रे. अंतर मन की गांठें टूटे अंतर निर्मल हो रे. अंतर मन की गांठें टूटे अंतर निर्मल हो रे. तेरा मंगल मेरा मंगल सबका मंगल हो रे. तेरा मंगल मेरा मंगल सबका मंगल हो रे.
Thank you, Girija.
Sapna. Thank you so much.
I will see you in another episode with another new guest. If you resonated with something from this episode, consider sharing it with at least one person.